Welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites. So Kristi and Michelle. It's interesting. Kristi and I were talking before we hit record and landing on a topic because there's a lot going on in just the whole world right now, in the space and the leadership space, and what are you seeing in your world? Here's what I'm seeing in my world. And the stuff we're going to step into is around AI and technology and embracing things. So our quote is from all people, Thomas Edison. He said, "There's a way to do it better. Find it." And I think this particular one is you don't have to look too far with what is presented at our doorstep around AI and generative AI and the opportunities that we have to do things better than where we are in this space today. Because when I think about it, AI for me surfaced, I want to say, because I went through an AI mastery course through Mindvalley that ended in January, I think, of this year. So it was last year. But that's not when AI surfaced. It was like back in the 50s and 60s, you can see part of it, but it wasn't until probably the last 3 or 4 years. But the people that had access to it, it wasn't Chat GPT. And it wasn't until chat really came out that, and I remember my nephew exposed me to it, that more and more people, it's literally at your fingertips, the opportunity and the change, and then without doing anything, right, other than getting a free account and giving chat a role in what that looks like, versus it's now embedded in workflows and things are being tested. And so it's not like we have to wait for someone to build it. It's built, it's been delivered at our front door, and there's things that we can do now to be able to embrace it and find those ways to do things better. What are you seeing? Because you're in the healthcare world.
Yeah, and I think too when I love what you say about find it and embrace it, because we have an opportunity now to also help build it and make it better, because there are companies out there that are using this technology and they are looking for people, clinicians, healthcare leaders, whomever in this space, to use it and say, hey, I think you could do this and make it a little bit better. And they want to make it better. They want to make it easier. And so this is really an opportune time to, just embrace this idea and really make it into something that can be absolutely fabulous and a game changer. It's already game changing.
Oh, yeah.
But we need it to game change for the right reasons.
Yeah. It's interesting. My brain went a number of places, right? So for me, it's this spectrum, right, of what can be done using the technology. So from one end of it, I look at it can help me summarize notes, right? Survey results, summarize notes, because AI is great at looking for pattern, right? It's pattern recognition, right? So the analytics, and it's sitting on a body of knowledge, right, over what's been happening for as long back as the internet, and then current stuff and everything else, and is constantly learning and iterating on what that knowledge base is. So I can have chat as long as, and I call him, he's a male in my world. ChatGPT is a guy. I don't know why. But I mean, I can write better emails, right? So if you're somebody who looks and goes, oh my God, I have to reply to this email, and you just draw this blank, or you're just second guessing yourself and it takes 50, I can literally put the email that got sent to me that I want to reply to with a few comments to chat about, hey, this is what I want to do. Chat will then, like, instantaneously provide what this response could be. I can take it and edit to be my voice, but I'm no longer starting from blank piece of paper, right? That is literally the steps at your doorstep. Nobody else needs to build anything else for you to have access to it. And then the pendulum swings the other way, and I think about healthcare. It was one of the docs that I used to work with at Sutter. He's a physician leader now at another healthcare organization, but he had posted something around med reconciliation, right? And the challenges and the time, and it's such a vulnerable place. There's a lot of risk around med reconciliation. That's something AI can help us with, right? To where you don't have these humans missing interactions, right? Of here's everything, and missing things that fell off, because it can go and look for patterns throughout all of it and do analytics based on what's already in electronic systems. Those kind of things, I think, okay, let's release the burden, right, off humans to do that, so humans can do what only humans can do.
Mhm. Well, and you said something a little earlier there about how it can analyze too. We know in healthcare we love our data. So AI it can not only support that piece of data, give us everything we need, it can take it to the next level. AI can go out and look at, when you're talking about clinical trials, when you're talking about, um,
Mm.
just bringing everything together and saying, here's the pattern that you talk about, here's the
Mhm.
pattern, here's what that outcome is, and the time that it could save a human to
Mhm.
have to go back and try and find that pattern. AI can do that for us and get us potentially to a place where we can help our patients quicker, that we can potentially find something that could be life changing for them,
Mhm.
both good and bad. It
Mhm.
may come up and say, hey, you want to go a different direction here because this is not going to end well. AI can be really useful in this space.
The other one that might, so the visual that came to mind, because I have visuals that come to mind when people are talking, is literally a relay race, right? And all of a sudden you can have AI run the first leg or the first couple legs, and then they hand off a baton to you. And the baton they're handing off is this very in-depth analytic analysis that's done, so that us as humans can take over and then start pulling other stuff in, right? And we're not weighted down by just the drudgery and the draining, because I know what happens a lot of times is after we're in it for so long in the weeds, our brains then start to see what we expect to see and not necessarily what's actually there. And so if we can get rid of the burden of all that minutia stuff that we're going through to be able to take it and then go to the next level, I think it'd be fantastic.
Well, I think in healthcare too, because clinicians are bombarded every day in baskets, the
Mhm.
first thing that comes to mind. And to your point, it's sometimes we're only looking at what's in the subject line and not going deeper than that. Embed AI into that in basket. One, it can really eliminate a lot of burden on a clinician, but it can find the pattern.
Yeah,
Patient Michelle has said this, in the last 5 notes that she sent in, and call that out to a clinician who may have not seen that because
yeah,
what they saw in the subject line is needs a refill
yeah.
or whatever it is. So AI can be really useful in that space.
Yeah, so just for people who aren't in the healthcare space, right? In basket is where those messages that we're able now to send to our providers, our physicians, our care team, they're on the receiving end of those messages. So someone is triaging them, funneling them. A lot of times in a lot of systems, they go directly to the physician first. There isn't someone else triaging those things. So now you've got a doc who's been with patients all day long, and in between or when the day is done, they're now going to look at this. And how many people love their email? Okay, they're going to look at this massive list, this inbox, if you would, or in basket of messages that they've gotten from patients. So it's going to decrease their availability of panel size, which means how many patients can they actually be the provider for, right? Because they're doing this other work. So totally agree with you. If you can have someone front and center and then someone else doing that, hey, maybe we missed something, or there's themes here that we weren't seeing or didn't acknowledge. The other place that I saw it, and I think Epic is starting to do this, is like discharge summaries.
Mhm.
And so, or some summary of visit to where you've got a patient stay, and and when the patient goes to discharge, they can AI can pull all the clinical notes of clinicians that have done, the care team that's done, and create a summary that the doc can go in and edit and change things. But you and I were talking is that they can, as long as it's in this ecosystem of learning, right? Because you don't want to where it's not HIPAA compliant, but AI can continue to learn, what is it? What's the voice of that particular provider? How do they say things? so that they're not having to start from scratch and go over everything, but they've got stuff here to say, okay, what changes do you want to make from this?
Mhm. Well,
I
and I
think it's
think
helpful.
it too. If a clinician may say, "Yeah, now I have to teach it," but you have to teach a human. And sometimes, in the case in healthcare, when you're teaching a human, you might have to teach several humans because you don't always
Mhm.
have the same human in front of you. So that now you're teaching several humans where AI can pick up on these changes much faster. It will learn you much
Mhm.
faster than having to tell maybe even as many as 3 or 4 different people in the same day
Mhm.
something specific. Even dictation and how far it's come in dictation. We have systems now where it can listen to a clinician interact with a patient and take out parts that are not important to the actual healthcare part of the visit. So if I start
Hmm.
talking with you about a baseball game maybe you attended, it'll take that out because it knows that that's how smart AI is. It
Yeah,
knows that you don't need that in your note as a
right.
clinician when it's all said and done.
But it's interesting you say that because the AI has the capability to retain that, but someone has fine-tuned it, right? So I think about one of the lessons that I went through in the AI mastery course, and it was about fine-tuning. And so it was fine-tuning for chatbots or AI assistants. And so it's like, okay, when this is the thing that's said or sent in, here's the appropriate response. Right. So there's some learning that's happening as it's going along. So there's a foundation there to do it. And it will continue to learn and evolve through that time. So those things are interesting to me. It's like, and then for me in business, because I look at whether you're a leader, let's just say performance evals or responding to emails, or you're a leader without direct reports, how many people love doing their self eval? Okay. Well, you can pull in accomplishments and what you've done and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I have to respond to my self-eval. You give the inputs into Chat GPT. You assign Chat a role. You're, HR, you're advising me on how to craft the message for my performance review. Here's based on this information. And immediately there will be a response there to where you can take it. And again, you've got something to start with. Because I think that's the biggest thing, Kristi, that takes people so much time is sitting looking at that frickin' blank page.
Mm-hmm. And ChatGPT is wonderful. And I think here, I encourage anybody who hasn't just try the free version. It's pretty amazing. And I agree with you. Even if you're somebody who's trying to work on your presence in email, and you alluded to this earlier, maybe you're not the best email writer. Maybe
Mhm.
you're looking to be a little bit more professional, making sure the words that you use this is going to help you. So when we think about, ooh, it's scary, it's going to take something away from us, it's actually helping you evolve as a person, utilizing it in whatever setting that you want to utilize it in, and really kind of supports that next level and helps you not
Mhm.
stay stuck on something for
Yeah.
so long that you just abandon it or you end up writing the wrong thing.
Yeah. Where it's helped too is like I've done agreements with different clients. So instead of having me to re-edit and stuff like that, Chat can craft an agreement, craft, recommend some things I may have missed, some, current trending topics now.
Mm-hmm.
There was a group that we get together and we were going through lessons in this one thing. And how you communicate with Chat GPT and through AI is prompts, right? Prompts is what you're asking them to do, the role they assign, what you're asking them to do. So there's one particular prompt was pretty elaborate in this video that we were watching. So we took a snippet of it, okay, of the words, so we didn't have to retype, upload it into Chat. So we have the paid version, not the free version, but it's minimal every month. And Chat then viewed the snippet that we had and typed out the words that were in the snippet so we didn't have to retype them, right? Just little things like that that are huge.
Well, and I think maybe somebody hears you say that and they go, oh, that's a template. We've all had templates, but it is different. AI is different. And the thing that it can also do is when you are writing a contract or something specific that you're repeating, it will find the patterns again. So go back and it will find the patterns. You're actually saying this every time in this contract. So now this becomes a permanent part. Or it calls attention to something very specific that maybe you weren't realizing in the past. Because once you put something in a template, I'm telling you, all you're doing it is filling in the blanks. You're not going back and looking at that template verbiage. AI is going to do that for you. It's going to go back and get that verbiage and say, does this need to be updated? Or I'm seeing this happening. Like I said, it's finding the pattern and it will help you evolve.
It's so funny you say that because I've had because I'm self-employed, I'll contract with different organizations to play a different role, and they're not always my agreements, they're someone else's. And this one organization I was contracting with, it had verbiage and writing in there and conditions that I hadn't experienced before. So I read through it and I thought, okay, should I be concerned about this? I'm not sure about this section. And so I literally uploaded verbiage into chat and I said, so this is what you are. You're advising me on this. Please tell me the areas I need to be concerned about, right? To see if I did my due diligence. I wanted some other set of eyes or some other perspective. And chat came back and said, well, this is this, make sure you've got da 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 da, this is, so it felt good for me not to stress to where the areas that I was wondering about are those same things that chat surfaced. But it's just that second opinion on stuff that gets me moving forward, to your point, more quickly. So I'm not sitting here spinning in areas that I'm not sure of or dreading doing something that doesn't fill my cup up. The administrative tasks, the responding to emails, and it saves clients money.
Yeah.
I do surveys for clients and I'll do surveys and stuff. And I pulled survey results together and been able to summarize across about the themes on all the survey feedback we got in seconds. And so the client doesn't have to pay for me to manually go through and sift through all that stuff. So it's those kind of things that I look at and go, my gosh, let's take the low-hanging fruit of the things that we really don't like doing in the first place, right? They're not the things that we're super excited about. And let's see how we can have somebody else get us that much closer.
Well, and I think, again, to go back to when you're thinking about a patient or the patient's journey, it's funny that we will put on our Apple Watches and we will let Apple do whatever it wants to our wrist and take it. There's your AI right there.
Yeah.
It's your blood pressure. It is your, heart rate, everything, the apps that you're using. That is AI, and it is now developing a plan for you. Just when you pop on Amazon and Amazon already knows what you want to order, that is AI. And so how do we use that in healthcare setting or in another business setting where we can help the customer or the patient move through their journey in a more efficient way? And especially when you're a patient and you're sick, and the last thing that you want to do is have to wait through a call system or have to wait for a call back, when AI can help that patient journey and get them to where they need to be a lot faster based on an algorithm that is really easy to create.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you're not dependent on humans in those settings to navigate people through, which frees up humans to do what only humans can do. That's the stuff I love, so that you're not going to overburden people. You're going to relieve stress. And it was funny, another quote that I ran across, I think it was Simon Sinek. It was something along the lines of, when you do a job that's not connected to purpose, it can be stressful, right? When you do a job that is connected to your purpose, it's basically passion. So you've still got effort and energy going into stuff, but if you're connected to stuff that's meaningful and value add and you get it, right? that is where I think AI can help us too. It's like, let's get rid of the stuff that doesn't fill our cup up, doesn't, fill us with juice, whatever you want to call it, and be able to have AI help us in that area so that we can step into things that are freaking fun and exciting.
Let AI do that background analysis, because at the end of the day, it's still going to send you what it comes up with. And to your point, you know that what's going to fill your cup is being able to look at that and say, oh, this is happening. Now I'm going to put my efforts and my smarts into going in a different direction,
Yeah.
because now I have this at my fingertips and I don't have to waste hours and hours combing through data to try to find the link. It just
Yeah.
did it for me. Now I can do what I really love and get to the meat of whether it's treating a patient or serving a customer, whatever
Yeah.
venue you're in, it can really help you.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you. I grin because there's so much potential and so many possibilities in this space. So thank you, because I think it's a huge part of leading today. Ourselves, it's our teams, how do we step people into it to where it's not this scary thing, but it's like, let's embrace it, because it's disruptive innovation at its core. But there's so many things that we can do to pull it in to make our lives easier and more beneficial, as long as we are open to understanding the possibilities and what we can do. We don't have to wait for someone else. So Kristi, thank you for the time. And what are one or two things you want people to walk away with around this topic, around, innovation, AI, change in general, and just finding better ways?
Well, I think first of all, there's been some bad press around AI.
Mm-hmm.
We know that it has generated voices of stars, generated
Wow.
celebrities, generated, and so we see bad press. And I would just encourage anybody. This is true of any new technology. There's always, credit cards. When they came out with credit cards, who was stealing your credit card? Who? I
Wow.
mean, it still happens. So how do we hit that head on, those
Mm-hmm.
parts that we know can be the not so great parts about it, and
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we've got our eyes on that while we're still pulling out all the wonderful things that
Mm-hmm.
it has to offer us, that can help us really become that best version of ourselves and whatever we
Mm-hmm.
need to be successful in what we're doing.
Yeah, it just came to mind when you were saying that is the stuff that's going to be on the front page of newspapers, or what used to be newspapers, so headlines, or your landing page, whatever you use, Edge or Google or whatever, it's not the good stuff. It's not the, oh my God, it's the most amazing saved whatever. That's not the stuff that sells time, right? The news time, whatever. I don't watch the news because it's not filled with, oh my God, the world is wonderful. And so I have to piggyback on what you just said, is try and block out, if you can, and go deeper to that stuff. Dip your toe in it yourself. So to your point, and I think it's chatgpt.com. Is that,
I think you're
trying
right.
to remember the extension, yeah. So check out the free version of chat. You have to sign up, you get an account, you don't have to pay for it, but check out just basic stuff. And here are the keys around it. When we talk about prompts, right? Assign chat a role. Okay. So when you go into it, imagine you've got this vast amount of knowledge, right? And capability. And it would be like anything. If I went up to you, Kristi, and didn't tell you, hey, let's talk about this certain thing, right? You wouldn't be able to ready yourself to talk about this certain thing. So we need to assign chat a role. So chat GPT, when you go in, I'm just going to make stuff up right now because that's what I do. Chat, you are a healthcare expert, okay? Or you're a customer service expert, let's say that. So assign whatever the role is, right? And I want you to do X, right? So this is the thing you're going to have chat do, whether you're responding to something, whatever. You can paste the content in if you want to reply to something. But let's just say it's an email, okay? You're a customer service expert, and I want your help in crafting a response to this customer email. Because maybe the customer's not happy. Okay. And you're going to take it personally because you're doing everything that you can and you don't understand. And so now you're taking it personally. So now you're going to have an emotionally charged response to this email that you got. Pause. Chat's now a customer service expert. Chat, please help craft a response to this customer. Here's their email. And you paste in the content, not the customer's name or anything like that. And have chat and see the response. Okay. That's one way you can do it. And then you edit from there. Another thing you can do is take one of your email responses that you've done already. So you sent before and say, hey, put in chat, say, hey, what updates or recommendations would you have for this email? And put in the email that you had and the response that you did, or just your initial email, right? And put that in and watch what comes back. But dip your toe in the water. You don't have to use the results from chat, but I want you to think for a minute when you do that stuff, how much time did it take you to craft the original email, right? How much time did you sit like beating yourself up, stewing, or mentally going, God, I have to write that email. I have to write that. I got to respond to Johnny. I have to write. Okay. And then take a look at how much time it actually took chat to craft a response for you. And then add up that time savings, because how many emails are you responding to in a day? But dip your toe in the water. It doesn't mean you have to use a response, but start to have experiences for yourself on what it looks like to where AI can actually be of value to you.
Well, and maybe to your point too, if an email didn't go the way that you wanted to, use that one.
Yeah.
And then how much time did it take you in that email interaction that maybe the first time that you sent it, it didn't come across the way you needed to? Maybe
Yeah.
there were a bunch of other things that happened as a result of that. So use that email to see to dip your toe in to see how
Yeah.
ChatGPT can help you maybe recraft something so it comes across in a different way.
Yeah, the thing I'll add, and it's so funny because we're talking about generative AI, it's learning us, right? So as we're experiencing, getting feedback and everything else, well, we can also learn.
Mhm.
So as we start to see the different wording and the different phrases or the things that are included in a better email, we then start learning what to expect, and then we can show up better and differently. Yeah. So I
Yes,
think it's a two-way street. I think it's a
absolutely.
two-way street. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the time. This is Leadership Soundbites with Kristi and Michelle. Until next time, please like, share, subscribe, and have a great, great day. Thank you.